Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
This message is for all of us. It's easy to point out what needs to be or what should be done. Now let's all step up and do it. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning, everybody. And good morning, everybody, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch, and thank you for tuning in on this October the 9th. 2017. This year's really gone by. Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell, and of course our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and a big fall tire sale going on right now, including some of our great advertisers too, like Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, Zeb. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, thank you, Jerry. God bless you, man. Thanks for your call and the Pledge of Allegiance. Right now, it's time for our weather forecast, brought to you by K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. The number to call, the number to remember for everything you need from lawnmowers all the way to forklifts, 678-3122. They're open up at 7 o'clock in the morning, ready to serve you as they have been since 1979, with all the experience and the right tools and equipment for you. K&R Rental with Roger and the crew, 678-3122. Right now, here's the weather forecast.
Here's your weather forecast as we saddle up and ride again for this Columbus Day. Going to be nice for today. Sunny skies. A little bit on the breezy side. Winds becoming east-northeast, right around 5 miles an hour. Expecting a high of 54. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 31. Tomorrow, looks like it's going to be the best day of the week. Sunny skies, high close to 82. Winds out of the east-northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. For tomorrow night, mostly clear skies with a low of 45. Then for Wednesday, mostly sunny skies. Winds picking up, gusts possible as high as 21 miles an hour out of the southeast. High of 60 tomorrow night, mostly clear with a low of 31. And then for Thursday, sunny skies and 54. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and very much. We appreciate everything she does. Did she say a high tomorrow of 82, or am I hearing things? Is that what she said?
62.
Are you correcting it?
I am correcting it. It's 62.
When you said that 82 in the weather forecast, I tell you what, I started immediately unbuttoning my heavy thermal shirt.
You're like, boy, howdy, it's going to be hot.
Woo, let's head for the beach. Murtaugh Lake's close by.
Grab out the sunscreen.
Don't do that to my old heart. I was going to organize a beach party. You bring the beer, I'll bring the brats. We were going to have fun.
You got it.
Oh, my God. Not with a 62, but with an 82, I'll go.
Yeah. Right. I'm going to have to go back and listen to that one. I should have said 62.
If you did say 62 and I misheard, I apologize. But you got this old horse's attention, I'll tell you that.
Well, that's good.
Okay, K&R Rental, our sponsor at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. And the number to call, 678-3122. For all the power tools, equipment, everything you need, give them a call, 678-3122. Wow, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Zeb at the Ranch. We've got some really good people coming on the program this morning, including Frosty Woldridge with a brand new article that he's written that has gone nationwide called The Coming Breakup of America at 9:06. And then at 9:30, that's anybody's guess. And the problem is being a holiday, Columbus Day, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. A lot of people, they're not showing up at their offices, and I'm getting a little worried, so I gave Deanne a list of all the people that we had scheduled for this morning, and she's verifying that they are going to take our call either at their office or their home. So we're doing our best to fill in for this morning on Columbus Day. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners. By the way, are you going hunting yet? You've still got your trip planned? Well, take your sleeping bags in there and get them clean. Get rid of the Fritos, the Cheetos, the salsa, whatever's in that bag. Get them clean so you can enjoy a hunting season. And by the way, he can waterproof everything on your tents and your clothing, too. Kevin is really, really sharp on this stuff. Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You stop in and see them today. Daryl's Cleaners in Burley. Absolutely the best. Had a great weekend, and there's a lot of things that we've got to talk about as far as public service announcements and everything a little bit later on this morning. We're going to be talking about Columbus Day right after this little message, so you stay tuned. Our thanks also go out to Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, and the other location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. Let me tell you something. You can order online. That's right. All you have to do is go to Denny's.com. Hit the demand button, place your order, and 20 minutes later, drive up, get your order, eat, enjoy. It's as simple as that. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner, and the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch. You get on over there today. Denny's Restaurant in Burley. It is delicious, let me tell you. Today is Columbus Day. I am not going to call it anything else. I am not going to refer to it as Indigenous Peoples Day. It is Columbus Day, in honor of Christopher Columbus. Now, there are those, and I lump them into the category of nothing more than politically correct NRBs, not real brights, like the city council in our own state of Idaho, up at Moscow. They are changing the name as of today, and it's going to be called Indigenous Peoples Day instead of Columbus Day. And these lightning rods of non-intellect up there at Moscow are changing the day's name because they think Columbus is a symbol of genocide and should not be honored. Well, you know, I did a little bit more research evidently than they did. And changing Columbus Day and calling it Indigenous Peoples Day is really a slap in the face to our Italian Americans and our Hispanic Americans. They should be outraged, and many are. As a matter of fact, in New York State, heavily populated with Italian Americans, the Antifa has threatened to take down, destroy, or absolutely demolish any statues of Christopher Columbus. And the Italian folks back there are saying, don't even try. I honestly feel there's going to be a lot of conflagration today over this issue, and quite frankly, there should be. This is insanity, and the Italians and the Hispanics in this country should be outraged as to the political correctness that is literally taking away the legacy of what really happened with Christopher Columbus. Columbus rightfully deserves credit for his initiative and courage. Listen to my words now. He deserves credit for his initiative and courage in leading the dangerous expedition that reunited two halves of humanity from both sides of the world. Caller, I'll be right with you. Stand by. And Christopher Columbus was a very courageous and skilled navigator, but his legacy includes the subjugation and enslavement of native peoples. Now, I want to emphasize something. How can we today, and this is true with George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Madison, whatever, how can we judge people today with the so-called PC standards of today that happened either in 200 years ago or in Columbus's case over 400 years ago? We can't, we shouldn't, and it's stupid. Caller, I ask your indulgence just for a moment so I can pay a bill. I'll be right with you. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric at, of course, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call is 678-0459. They're open 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday for all your heating and cooling. Don't worry about the cooling right now this time of the year. And electrical needs. And by golly, they've got all your furnace filters too. So stop in, see them today. Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. After Columbus Day is eliminated, what's going to happen next is that St. Patrick's Day will be gone, Easter Sunday will be gone, Cinco de Mayo will be gone, but what's going to happen with Ramadan?
Oh, it'll continue.
Keep that?
Oh, it'll continue, and the Muslims and all the PC people will stand in honor and relishment of that event. I am very concerned. Now, you mark my words. Starting next February, I am extremely concerned for Washington's birthday, Lincoln's birthday, the celebration, commemoration of President's Day. Watch out for Antifa and others.
Well, I think we have enough allies out there that are enjoying St. Patrick's Day and enjoying celebrating Cinco de Mayo. I think we could end up having a nice storm on our side.
Let me ask you.
We're going to have a lot of organizations that are not going to put up with this.
Let me ask you a question. If you had an opportunity today to go to Moscow and speak before their city council, what would you tell these politically correct, how dare I use that word corrupt, people on the city council? What would you tell them about calling it Indigenous Peoples Day instead of Columbus Day?
Well, what I would say to them is, if you keep this kind of garbage up, you're going to end up with a country that is nothing but a bunch of zombies controlled by a bunch of left-wing knuckleheads.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the way I would put it.
And I think that's the right way to put it. I'm so sick and tired of political correctness. I'm so sick and tired of those that are trying to denigrate the past, and almost like a big stroke of the pen, they want to rewrite it the way they thought it should be. I'm fed up with it. Tony, I appreciate that. And the best to you and Mary this morning. God bless you, man.
Okay. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you so much. Calls are welcome. What do you think? Honestly, and I'll bite my tongue and sit here with my chin bowed against my neck and listen to some of you liberals that want to call in support of Indigenous Peoples Day. But do expect, please, that at some part of our conversation, I will let you have it. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. I want to pay some bills right now and want to remind everybody about Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. They helped me. Honestly, I make no bones about it that when I was trying to recoup from the knee and the hip surgery, I needed help because, boy, the old bones, the joints, the tendons, the muscles, they didn't want to cooperate with this old buddy and do the things I used to do. Well, I went down to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, and it was the best thing I ever did at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, because they literally got me back to where I was being me. That's right, 678-1191, the number to call, and they've got the best of physical therapists there, absolutely all the therapy, and the hydrotherapy pool, the only one of its kind in this area. Call for an appointment today, 678-1191, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I absolutely swear by these great folks. By the way, too, before we take some more calls, give me a jingle on the landline. Let me know what your thoughts are about Columbus Day. I'm not going to weaken on this, folks. I think that Christopher Columbus was proclaimed because this man, Christopher Columbus, everything I've studied about him, etc., was an explorer that had the courage to face the unknown. I mean, to get in a little rickety old boat, I guess you could call them a ship, but boy, they weren't very sturdy, etc., and go across the waters in the 15th century, and oh my goodness, all the tragedies, all the possible problems from storms and enemies, etc. You got to give these people a lot of credit. They had a lot of nerve and backbone. But it's easy today to denigrate these people. I will not. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't go away. I also want to remind everybody about Pomerell Place in Burley, a place for senior living. And believe me, seniors, you shouldn't be staying alone. You shouldn't be trying to take care of yourself with possibly not eating correctly or not taking your medicine. And Pomerell Place offers the ability for seniors to maintain their independence, both safely and comfortably. I urge you to give them a call at 677-8212. That number again, 677-8212, Pomerell Place, a place for senior living at 1301 Bennett Street in Burley. Caller, good morning and thank you. You're on the air.
Good morning to you. There's a very famous quote that says, if you try to change things to suit you, then you are lying to the world. And I think that the United States doesn't hide their warts. Although Christopher Columbus was an amazing man, can you imagine getting in that little boat and not knowing where you're headed and coming as far as you did and happening on a body of soil that you thought might be there, but you weren't sure. And then he knew he probably would never go home.
Yeah.
I think that that's the American spirit.
Yeah, but
what causes us to send our people into space to see what's out there?
You know, here's
what other country has ever done that?
Well, here's the point, though, Chris.
Criticizing our abilities.
Here's the point with the changing of the names today. We have all these crazy wackos that want to cause trouble like Antifa. And right now, as we speak, some of these hideous groups are they're throwing paint on the statues, trying to rip the statues down. And quite frankly, I hope there's a confrontation. I hope that there is an altercation with these Antifa people so that the world can realize these are pugs and thunks that punks and thugs that need to be reprimanded and put down and literally put in jail. It's happening right now, and we cannot let them control society any longer.
Well, nothing made me sadder than a couple of months ago or weeks ago when the people in the South were made to take down statues of very famous historical people.
Yeah.
Hey, you can't change history. It is a wart on our face, no matter what. And the thing is, if we hide it, we're more likely to redo it. And let's not let that happen. I was just sick when the people in the South buckled to those.
You know, I agree with you, and I talked to some of my dear friends down in southern Missouri in the Boot Heel, and I talked to some of my friends in Florida, talk to some of my friends in Georgia, and talk to some of my friends in Louisiana, my dear, dear friend in Louisiana. And I said, why? Why did you kind of cater to these people? Why did you kind of back up and let them have their way? And the bulk of what I was told was they were being threatened that they'd better not cause a ruckus, they better not stop these people, that the police forces were going to go in and arrest en masse, and they were being cowarded into doing nothing. And quite frankly, I think it's past time that we all did something.
Well, and I think that all of the United States public who feels like we do should have stood up and said, hey, you forget your history and you're bound to repeat it. My dad told us that when we were kids, every time a major incident came into our United States, lots of times he said, if we knew our history would have meant this never would have happened.
Let me ask you a question, and give me a short answer on this, Chris.
What he was talking about.
Chris, let me give me a short answer on this, because I've got to get a break in here in just a moment. But today, it is so easy to look in hindsight and criticize, whether it's the goofiness at CSI with the Hunt Project, and whether it's Columbus Day or whatever it is, or whether it's the denigrating of George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. With hindsight, everything is 2020. It was a different time. It was a different era. There were different accepted methods in lifestyles back in those days, slavery being one of them. How dare we today denigrate and tear down everything these people did when, quite frankly, it was a different modus operandi than it is now, 200 or 400 years later?
Yes, and when we, the very famous quote, if we forget our history, we're bound to repeat it.
Amen.
Now, you take down those things that seem to be bad, and you forget what happened and what a black eye we suffered through, but we rose above it. And if you don't know this, we're raising a bunch of namby-pamby babies out there that'll never stand up for what's important.
I agree. Chris, always good to hear from you. God bless you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Very nice lady right there, and very, very smart. But really, how dare we today, think about this and give me a call, how dare we today sit in our little ivory towers of intellect and look down on something that happened 240 years ago, or as much as maybe 400 or more years ago, and try to relegate those people, whether it's Christopher Columbus, or whether it was Thomas Jefferson or George Washington or whomever, into our current day times and our current thinking and our current politics. That is absolutely wrong. Caller, I'm going to be right with you. Bear with me just a minute. I want to remind everybody about Dino's Septic Service in Rupert. Oh, they do the job that you and I wouldn't want to do. Oh, my goodness, septic tanks pumped, and septic tanks and drain fields installed, and water and sewer lines installed, and sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, and all of this by people that are really efficient, really friendly, and really know their business. And I'm talking about Dino's Septic Service in Rupert and Burley. Fast, fair, friendly service, and believe me, they got that big old truck called Smells Cargo on the way to serve you. Give them a call, 436-6526 in Rupert, or in Burley, 678-1638. Dino's Septic Service, doing the job that you and I don't want to do. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. When in the world did they change this from the 12th of October to the 9th or whatever day they choose? When did this occur?
Well, as far as the changing is concerned, to today, you're talking about Monday as a holiday. They did this, They did this for the ease and comfort of those that are available to have a 3-day weekend. I don't fall into that category.
I don't either, especially when it comes to politicians. Hell, they just got back from vacation, and now they're getting another 3 days off.
Oh, come on. Where's your heart, for heaven's sakes? Why, our politicians, they've got such a tough job of standing up and doing nothing and then sitting down and doing more of the same. How dare you relegate them into obscurity? I'm ashamed of you.
I am, too. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry that this country is so stupid as to do something like that. It is October 12th. You know, when I went to school, and I did go to school, it was October 12th. And it was Columbus Day, and that day at school we talked about how Columbus discovered America.
Absolutely.
The country that we love. Now, how in the world are we going to get anywhere if we keep changing these things around? Just like you had mentioned earlier, pretty soon it'll be St. Patrick's Day, it'll be on the 15th or whatever. And what in the world are we... history is history, and it should not be changed.
Well, listen, here's the way I feel about this, and I'm going to make this short and sweet because I've got to give away some cookies. These radicals, whether it's Antifa or whether it's these politically correct morons like what's up in Moscow, Idaho with the city council, they're so eager to demonize Western culture and Christianity, and they're actively encouraging people to deface public property and are desperately trying to insert their warped, biased, and incorrect interpretation of American history, and it's only going to get worse.
I certainly agree with you there, Zeb. No argument.
All right, my friend. I got to run and give away some cookies.
October 12th is Columbus Day, right?
Yep. Yes.
It always will be. They may celebrate it on any other day, but it is the 12th.
But it naturally...
out of my mind, right?
Well, we had to make it easy for a 3-day weekend. Come on now. People have to have their rest. People have to get up and lay around in their pajamas. Some of them do. Not me. Got to run, Keith. Thank you very much.
Bye.
All right. Got to give away some cookies, and call 436-2244 if you know the right answer to this question. I'll give it to you in a moment. And the cookies are being provided by Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Oh, you talk about a great restaurant. Oh, you talk about a delicious bakery. Oh, it's good at Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. And now to give away the cookies. Here you go. On the television show, and this is an old TV show, Father Knows Best. Father Knows Best. Who played the father on Father Knows Best? First person to call, 436-2244 or 1-866-927-4587 with the right answer wins a dozen delicious cookies. By the way, if you want sugar cookies, you got to split them with me. But who played the father on Father Knows Best? Quickly, give me a call. I haven't got a lot of time. I know a lot of you are going click, click, click on your computers trying to get it all figured out. But very famous actor, as a matter of fact. And he was a multi-purpose actor. He starred in Westerns even. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. And you might win the dozen cookies to Sophie's. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Robert Young.
Who is this?
I haven't called you for a long time.
Who is this? Give me your full name.
What's that?
I say, give me, please, your full name.
The name is Juan S. Castro.
Well, Mr. Castro, I want to tell you, you're a sharp man, and evidently you're almost the same age I am because it was Robert Young. He was a multi-purpose actor. He also starred in a doctor movie. You already won the cookies, but what was the name of the doctor TV series that he starred in?
Might as well be.
Holy cow, frost those cookies. Okay. Hey, thanks, Mr. Castro. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Bye-bye.
Man, that man is sharp. Yes, it was Marcus Welby, MD. Juan Castro wins the cookies. Congratulations. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. Hello. They've been with us for a long time, and they do have all the equipment you need to get the job done right. South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Hello, Juan. How you doing over there? And don't forget they've got all the Bobcats, and they've got a special deal, negative interest on all Bobcats. That means the interest on a machine is subtracted from the price. Oh, you can't beat that with a baseball bat. You better get over there and check out all the new and used excavators for sale or rent at Berry Equipment and Rental. South Lincoln and Jerome, in Twin Falls on Addison Avenue West, and 159 West Highway 30 in Burley. Berry Equipment and Rental, absolutely the best. All right, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It is Columbus Day. It is never going to be on this program as long as it's on the air. Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to denigrate the holiday the way it was intended. Your thoughts, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I say and look at the folks up in Moscow, Idaho with great disdain, trying to rewrite history. And when they said Columbus is a symbol of genocide and it should not be honored, I condemn and I damn you for your actions. By the way, don't forget, everybody's going to stay comfy this winter with a home comfort system. If you'll just check it out at Ramsey Heating and Electric, along with Lennox Home Comfort System. Going to get chilly, you're cozy. Don't worry about it. Oh, and you might qualify to get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox system. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. You give them a call. All right, now it's your turn. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There is, and I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody on this, an anti-white movement that is growing like a cancer in this United States. Anti-white. Even by some white news people, if you want to call them that, and so-called white comedians. We are supposed to, according to them, if you're white, we should feel ashamed. We should go cower in the corner. We should go run and hide behind rocks. We should absolutely hold our hands out and say, I'm sorry, for all the transgressions that have happened in this country and around the world because we're white. Well, I want to come out and say that I'm darn proud of being Caucasian, and I'm darn proud of what my race has done, and I'm darn proud that Caucasians, we whiteys, have helped other people all around the world. Now we have the likes of Hillary Clinton, one of the most sick, perverted losers ever in politics, along with Michelle Obama, and you can lock her into a category wherever you want. They're really playing the anti-white race card. Oh, they don't like you and me. And I was really proud of Utah Congresswoman, by the way, she is black, Mia Love. She was on television last week, on Friday, and she is absolutely outraged at the dim Democrats and the liberals and the anti-white purging that is going on in this country. She spoke up, spoke out, and let people know how disgusted she was with what's going on in politics and on college campuses, anti-white movements. Now, a lot of you folks may not be aware, but the NAACP, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, let me say it again, the NAACP was founded, you may not know this, but it was founded by whites and blacks together. They worked together. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. They worked together. And one of the biggest fundraisers for Negroes in this country, oh yeah, Zeb said the N-word. Oh, the light bulbs are going to come apart from the fixture. No, that is a race of people, Negroes. Along with the Negroid is the proper terminology. Caucasoid and Mongoloid are the three races of mankind. The United Negro College Fund is one of the largest money raisers for Negroes to go to college. Now, nobody is condemning them for what they use on behalf of their race, but now, oh, you're white. Why, we're condemning you. You're white. Why, we're going to play the race card against you. This is what's happening. What do you feel? Are you inhibited because you're white or Caucasian? And Caucasian. We need to start a maybe pro-white fund or organization. And that airplane would never get off the ground because then we would be called racist. Think about it. Call me. Don't forget Harris Plumbing NG. Nathan Harris, doggone good. I mean, this man is the best plumber, along with his crew, of anybody. Harris Plumbing NG. The number to call in Burley, 431-8633. Absolutely one call. One call, that's all. And for all your plumbing service needs, this man is the best. We had them for a huge job right here at our place. And, I mean, they wrapped it up, bing, bang, boom, and everything was done to perfection. Absolutely a dedication to perfection. Harris Plumbing NG. In Burley, number to call, 431-8633. I highly recommend these great folks. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
When is White History Month?
Oh, gee. Let me thumb through the calendar, Doug, please.
Well, mine's got white and black, so
Yeah.
every month's White History Month.
Okay.
But, and where's the White Caucus?
Well, now, just a minute. Let me look through my book here. Can't find it.
I mean, we've let them get away with their trying to feel intimidated because of the color of their skin.
Yeah.
We felt sorry for them, so they've lowered the standards in colleges because they had to accept a number of black people. Okay.
Or wait a minute, let's be fair, or any races. What you're touching on here, I want to make sure that we say it fairly. They opened up a lower category and a lower admission rate because they weren't getting enough of what they said, special classes of the different races, etc. And they wanted to make it more of a fairness doctrine, when in essence, really, it really hurt the functioning power of the university itself.
Exactly. So you think about that a minute. These people that are running these colleges, these liberal colleges, say they're not smart enough to come to our college, so we have to lower the standards so they can. Yeah. So they're basically putting them down.
Yeah.
They're putting them in a lower class.
But, Doug, I want to be fair here again, and I'm not trying to be overly cautious, but I want to be fair. You and I both know people of all races and of skin color that have excelled not only in the classroom but also in business interests, etc. But when we start looking at education on a quota system, and then you have totally destroyed the real meaning of education for the best to get the education and the best to go forward.
Exactly. My point is, you're setting them up for failure.
Yes.
If you're not holding them to a high standard.
Yep.
They come in, they can't cut the mustard, so they drop out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a video of people, this reporter on the streets in New York asking about voter ID. And he was asking a bunch of white people about, is voter ID racist? And they, yes, they don't, they're not qualified to do this, or they can't do this. They don't have the ability to do this. So then he went to the black people and started talking to them, and every one of them had an ID. Every one of them was capable. They had internet, and they had smartphones. They were capable of doing what was required. So the white people are putting them down by propping them out there, saying they need special treatment.
I want to talk to you a little bit further on this. Can you hold on the phone a minute, or if you have a customer, go ahead. But I want to do a weather forecast, and I want to ask you about why are Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama and some of the white late-night people on television, why are they coming out anti-Caucasian? I'll ask you about that in just a minute, okay?
Okay.
All right, stand by. We're going to get a weather forecast on here really, really quick. Brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho with Dr. Christine Pickup. She sent me a birthday card, too. And by Willie, I want to also mention, if you're having hearing problems, don't waste a minute. Get a hold of them today at 312-0957. Make an appointment for a hearing screening at Mount Harrison Audiology. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch for this Columbus Day as we saddle up and ride again. Today's going to be a nice one. Sunny skies, high of 54. Going to be a little bit breezy, not too bad tonight. Mostly clear with a low of 31 tomorrow. Sunny skies, high of 62. Slightly breezy, winds out of the east-northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies, low of 35. For Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 60. Thursday, sunny and 54. That is your weather for Zebeth Ranch.
Thank you, Gina, and brought to you by our friends at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they're right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room. Number to call, 312-0957. Doug, answer that question. Why are we seeing whites, Hillary Clinton, late-night TV hosts, news people, anchor people, teaming up with a denigration of Caucasians? Why?
Because the Democrat Party is the party of slavery. And when they lost the ability to keep slaves and maintain slaves, they figured out another way, and LBJ was the one that came up with the way to do it. And I'm not going to repeat his quote, and that's it. It is a modern-day slavery. They are saying they're on the black people's side, but what have they done for the inner cities? What have they done for the blacks?
I see this right now with Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton and some of these late night, not funny creeps and clowns. I see this as a beginning of another major, and I'm very worried about this, a major race war in this country to where it's everybody on one side against the whites, and the whites are sitting here going, what we do? This is ridiculous, but I see a separation of our country worse than it was in the 1860s with the Civil War.
Yes, it is. And look who brought it on. The last 8 years of presidency, how did the race relations when he went into office, and how were they when he come out?
Yeah, absolutely pitiful.
He was a divider.
Yeah.
Him and that Al Sharpton that visited the White House, I don't know how many times. I personally have no ill feelings for any person don't care their color, creed, where they come from, what they do. If they act like a human being and treat me with respect, I treat them with respect.
It's a double-edged sword, and it's a gratuitous handshake both ways. And I am absolutely sickened by the fact... Well, I'll give you an example that I talked about a few minutes ago. There are those in the audience right now this morning, and you know this is true, Doug, my friend, that when I said United Negro College Fund, they cringed. And they go, oh, that terrible Zeb Bell. He said the N-word. Hey, I didn't say anything any different than what's on all their letterheads, all their websites, and on television soliciting funding. It is the United Negro College Fund. But if you use that Negro word to explain about somebody else at another time, another juncture in the news, they will crucify you.
Exactly. And that's their double standard. The door only swings one way with the left, and that's the way they want. They're not a give and take. They're a take.
Yeah.
And if you don't give in to them, then they start the race card. They start playing all these hateful speech. It's almost numbing. I mean, you've heard it so much. Somebody calls you racist now, just like calling you red.
Yeah, you know, I've been through this, as you will know, in 2007, prior to Obama's election. And a very dear friend of mine, I say God's blessings to him almost every day, told me I was really worried at one time about losing this program and the sponsorships and everything. And he told me, he says, are you going to run or are you going to stand and fight these people? And I said, no, I'm going to stand and fight. And he said, well, then go do it. And I will never quit denigrating the other side, because they absolutely only want things their way, and the other people that stand in their way are trodden down like rocks on a road. I will not stand for that. I believe in fairness. And right now, if I want to use the words Negro or Mongoloid or Caucasoid, I'm going to use them because that is the best definition of what races, the three races of mankind are. And when somebody says, oh, you're shameful, and I know I'm going to get an email because these people are out there, you use the N-word. No, I said it in respective terminology, and that's the way it is. They only hear what they want to hear, Doug.
That's a fact. And their mind is like, don't confuse me with the facts because my mind is already made up.
Yeah. I got to run, buddy. I got to run, but I want to say thank you for all the times that you call in. Appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for your call.
God bless. And everybody, let's take care of our senior centers.
Amen.
Do what you can for the senior centers.
Amen. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it. I want to remind you, too, on Thursdays, we have at 9:15 in the morning a segment with Denny's football trivia contest that you can win a Grand Slam breakfast. Oh, that's good eating. And don't forget to tune in about 9:15 on Thursdays for the Denny's Restaurant America's Diner football question. You answer it, you get a Grand Slam breakfast. Want to also remind you folks about our dear friends, our major sponsor with the big fall tire sale, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, they are good, and we really appreciate them. Big tire sale going on now for your passenger car tires, pickup and SUV tires, all the tires you need for safe driving this fall and winter. Get in there and check it out today, along with the best in brake service, highly trained technicians, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries. Gonna get chilly, and you're gonna go out and put the key in that ignition and go click, 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 click. You better get your battery checked right now. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, where they do the right thing because it matters. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I got time for one more call. Give me a jingle real quick. 436-2244. 1-866-927-4587. I hope and I pray there is not the violence on this Columbus Day that some of the left are saying is going to happen. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. I got a minute left. Go ahead.
Yeah, Zeb. I'll just come and do this right quick. This is Clarence. You hear them all talking about the African American, Mexican American, Spanish American. I don't go that way. They're either African or they're American. One or the other. I am from, my forefathers came from Scotland. And I don't go around saying I'm a Scottish American. I am an American. And I just wanted to let that out.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate your call, and I really appreciate and respect what you said, because I don't believe in hyphenated Americanism ever. Thank you. God bless you for your call this morning.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you. He's right. And I don't like that African American, Hispanic American, blah, 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 Japanese American, baloney. We live here. We look up to that flag, the red, white, and blue. We say the pledge. We stand for the national anthem. And we are Americans. Thanks for listening this first hour. We're going to take a little break right now for about 7 minutes and let the big boys from CBS come in and mess up everything we've cleaned up. And then we'll be back at 9:06. Great friend of mine, Frosty Woldridge, will be on at 9:06. And 9:30, kind of a guessing game because I haven't filled that slot yet. We'll see you in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. Oh, good morning. Look at that blue sky outside. It is just fantabulous out there. Good morning. I'm Zeb Bell. Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations right now having a great big fall tire sale. And, of course, our friends at Western Waste Services. And, of course, our friends
from Southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Western Waste Services, it's true, always at your disposal. My goodness sakes, you better get a hold of them. Get on the route service. We've been on that route service for a long time. And on Thursdays at about 12 noon, we stand on the back porch and wave goodbye to our garbage, never to be seen again. Good. They do a fantastic job. Western Waste Services, get on that route service today. Call them 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. Want to remind you, too, the weather's going to be changing and there's going to be a lot more indoor activities. Well, if you want to stay warm and comfy, you better check out a Lennox home comfort system through Ramsey Heating and Electric at, of course, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Wonderful people serving you, and you could possibly get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox home comfort system. Call them today at 678-0459. And, of course, on every day on this program, I'm so blessed to have the cream of the crop and the nicest of people, including Hatson Mortuary, with Joel Heward and his staff and his family serving you at 710 6th Street in Rupert. You know, I don't care what the time of the year. I don't care what happens in a family. It's so devastating when a loved one dies because you just don't know all the things that have to be done in a very short period of time. They can help. They will help, always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please remember the number to call, 436-5636. Hatson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. Right now, we are going to go via the phone line over to Golden, Colorado with a very, very dear friend of mine, one person that I very much respect, and he's got a brand new Part 1 article. It's entitled The Coming Breakup of America. Frosty Woldridge, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. Always a pleasure, sir, and happy Monday morning. I'm sitting here with about 6 inches of snow at my little
abode at 8,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains. So I'm wishing you a happy Monday morning.
May I state emphatically, keep your doggone angel dandruff over there.
Okay, I'll try to do that for you.
All right.
The fact is, winter's coming, and it's just visiting the Rockies right now.
Before we get started talking about your article, please allow me a few moments to ask you about this. Yesterday, Vice President Pence, and I'm going to be talking about this at the 9:30 hour, he walked out of an Indianapolis Colts San Francisco 49er game because 12 stupid, very uneducated black players knelt on behalf of the 49ers. And I commend Vice President Pence for walking out after the anthem because he said he would not stay there and participate in a football game where they didn't respect the American flag.
Well, that really is a part and parcel of this three-part series, and I've just finished part 2 of the series. And as Thomas Chittum talks about in his book, The Coming Breakup of America, Civil War II, these are the first portions, or the shots over the bow of how America is beginning to fracture and fragment, and that's just an indication of what's going on. This kneeling thing against the flag, against our veterans, and against our Constitution, and against the national anthem. And I think as we get into this series, it will be very apparent to everybody that we're about to add, as I've said for years on your show, 100 million more immigrants from 194 different countries, 196 different countries actually, and that we're going to continue to be un-Americanized, if you will, or multiculturalized, if you will, or diversified beyond any recognition of what America is and what it has been. And with that, you're going to see more and more demonstrations like a Kaepernick. He's just an indication of what's coming.
You know, Frosty, I'm really starting to be very, very cautious, afraid, worried about our great country. Your article was excellent, but then I hear the news that as of January 1st, 2018, the state of California will become a sanctuary state. Then I hear Michelle Obama teaming up with the loser Hillary Clinton and a lot of the late-night not funny crowd condemning whites and running Caucasians into the ground. What kind of a society is coming?
Well, that's indicative of a tribalism. And you have to appreciate and understand that tribalism has been an aspect of humanity since the dawn of time. And whether you look at the Hutsis or the Tutsis, or you look at the Ethiopians, or you look at the Somalians, or you look at the Congolese, you look at the Moroccans over there in Africa, all of them are tribes. And they're always fighting against each other. There's always conflict. And we, of course, back in 1965, had 90% Caucasian European Americans in this country, with only 7% African Americans and only 3% Hispanic or Latino Americans. Well, now that's down. American whites are at 54%, and the Latino crowd of Mexicans and Hispanics through mass immigration and illegal immigration are now somewhere around 35% or so, and by 2042, the Latino, Mexican, Hispanic contingent in America will be the new majority. I hope everybody gets a handle on that. There will be a different and new majority of Latin, Mexican people in this country by 2042. That's only 25 years from now. It's going to create tremendous conflict in our country. And that's not even counting just the mounting. You've only got 3.3 million. Some of them brag that they've got 7 million Muslims, in this country. What happens when they get to be 10 to even 15 or 20 million? Because they are pouring into this country. you're also seeing the Chinese are pouring into this country at a horrific rate of speed, and also Indians from the subcontinent of India. So what we're seeing is this coming breakup of America, and part one is called multiculturalism's ultimate outcome. And so you're seeing all these different tribes pulling in their own direction, no longer pulling in America's direction, and certainly not pulling for a Caucasian America. And this is what's dealt with in this book, and I think we're in for a very rough ride, and that's why as I've always called for the last couple of years now, a complete shutdown of all immigration into America, so that we may hopefully contain this multiculturalism and deal with what we've already created in this country, and stop creating more of the fracturing and the fragmentation.
Most talk show hosts are cowards when it comes to mentioning the NAACP, and most all talk show hosts are cowards when it comes to mentioning the United Negro College Fund. I am not one of those cowards. I said in the first hour, and I know I'm right, that the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People actually was founded by both blacks and whites together, if people didn't know that. And the United Negro College Fund, not a bad word that can't be said, because it's their number one funding source for Negro students to go on and get a better education. Why in the world do we back off saying legal, honest words in fear that those people that are race baiters and haters will come after us?
Well, again, that's the conflict of multiculturalism, and always in history, the victors are the ones that write the books. And right now, you have all of these different entities, all of these, you've got Miss Black America, you've got, I think it's called BET, Black Entertainment Television.
Right.
You've got the Black Caucus, you got the Hispanic Caucus. You've also got Blackish on TV is one of the programs on TV, which if you had a whitish program, I guarantee you that would literally raise everyone's ire on the liberal left as racist as all get out. But no one talks about that TV program Blackish as being racist, but it's totally racist, and there's no question about it. You've also got the Negro college funds. You've got so many things that have to do with celebrating the black person, and that if any white person creates any kind of a club on a college campus or in a high school, they would immediately be called racist. So you're seeing the unbalancing of America toward all of this multiculturalism, and inevitably there will be conflict. And we're already seeing it now with Antifa, which is the anti-fascist crews that are going out there. You also see it with the Black Lives Matter, which is totally and completely would love to see anarchy in the United States. As a matter of fact, that's what they say: kill cops, win now. They chant that as they go down the streets. And other entities like Antifa just say no Trump, no wall, no USA at all. So we're in a lot of trouble, and the only thing that's going to save us as a country to keep our country somewhat stable is to stop all immigration into America. Otherwise, we're literally headed for the same consequences that are now manifesting in Spain, certainly in the UK, well, in fact, all of Europe right now.
Let me ask you, though, Frost, you and I have gone through many, many years on this program, and in 2007, there were those so-called headhunters out there that came after you and I because we did not want Barack Obama elected as president. But even today, years after we suffered with Obama, you and I can talk honestly about this. But if we organized right now on the radio and anybody had a hint that we were going to follow through on perhaps a pro-white funding or organization, they would come after us and we'd be labeled racist all over again, and they would do everything in their power to shut me down.
Well, that's true. And again, you're seeing the imbalance, and you're seeing the American people that literally created this civilization, created this form of governance, with the extraordinary ability. One of the things that most people don't understand is that slavery has been a part of the world since the Romans. The Romans, slaves built the Roman Empire. Slaves built the Spanish Empire, the Persian Empire, all by slaves. And this is the first country in history to actually 500,000 Caucasian Americans died in order to stop slavery. This is the first country in the history of the world to stop slavery, and it was stopped by white men and women. The Civil War, of course, as we're talking about it. But now you're seeing all of this contention and this conflict when, in fact, there are no slaves in this country. Everyone has the equal ability to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But you're also seeing this incredible thrust against Caucasian America. And as the numbers of immigrants from the third world continue to pile into this country, and it's not slowing down, folks. There's nothing to stop 100,000 third world immigrants from coming into this country every 30 days. Again, 100,000 are coming in every 30 days. And they are continuing to siphon off the welfare rolls at $296 billion a year off of your hard-earned tax dollars. They're creating parallel societies such as Detroit, Michigan, and certainly Somaliland there in Minneapolis, Minnesota, certainly Miami right now, which is no longer an American city, the same thing with Los Angeles. We are seeing our country being completely overwhelmed by third world immigrants. And now their numbers are so great that we are becoming the minority, the Caucasian Americans, who are the ones who literally created this immigration situation. Back in 1965, Teddy Kennedy, Howard Metzenbaum, and Jacob Javits with the Immigration Reform Bill of 1965. And if we don't change it, then the consequences will continue to mount, and we're going to see more of the Kaepernick phenomenon or the Antifa phenomenon. You're going to see more of the La Raza phenomenon. You're going to certainly see the Sharia law phenomenon as all of these different entities attempt to literally dominate their areas, and that's their cities, and create these parallel societies within America.
Frosty, I've got into some real heated discussions over this next topic, which relates to what you're talking about and writing about. But I have said, and I'll stand behind, that these absolutely underworked, overpaid millionaires that call themselves NFL athletes, instead of taking a knee during the national anthem, they should get down on both knees and thank the good Lord above that their ancestors were brought to this country so they can share the fruits of all the money and the lack of working for that money here in this United States. Would you agree?
Well, I would agree. And one of the things that's unfortunate, and I've seen it here in Denver, Colorado, where certain, like Jim Lynch, he starts the Jim Lynch Foundation when he was an active player here to help out the poor and so forth. You very rarely see any of these athletes actually doing something that's positive. Look at Michael Vick. He was out, the quarterback of a major NFL team, and he's out having dog fights in his kennels. He was totally inhuman. He only got remorseful when he got caught. So what you're seeing again is these black NFL players taking a knee, dishonoring our country and dishonoring our flag, and it's their flag too, with no understanding of the consequences of this. Because if they're thinking that everybody's treated so poorly here in the United States, just go over to Africa. Just go over to Africa. I dare any NFL player who's taking a knee right now to go over to Africa and just go to the Congo and see how much money he can make over there. See how much he can take his knee over there, and that's the rape capital of the world. Women don't stand a chance to get past 13 without being raped in the Congo, but that's most of Africa. And so if you think it's really the poor black man in America is being treated poorly, again, as I say, and you've said the same thing, every black person, every white person, every brown person in America should get down on their knees and thank God that they're living in America, because they have the opportunity to pursue their lives and live any kind of a life they pursue, as long as they educate themselves, stay in school, and then work their way into the American dream. They all have that same exact potential by living in America. You don't have any potential like that living in India. You don't have any potential like that living in Africa. You don't have any potential like that to live in Mexico, for heaven's sakes. And that's why it's so profoundly, just completely out of touch with reality what these players are doing in the NFL.
And I honestly, I said this earlier, and I'm standing behind my statement, that I condemn, and quite frankly, I damn the people like Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton and the late-night so-called comedians that are trying to run us down as a race, and like Hillary and Michelle Obama, playing the race card, causing more diversity, which is growing like a cancer in this country. And I said earlier, I'll stand behind it, I think the Civil War of the 1860s could be a complete reenactment in 2017 going into 18 because of these people fueling the race fires.
Well, that's correct. And Chittum says it. He says this, and I'm quoting Chittum right now. Empires consist of peoples of different religions, languages, cultures, races, and nationalities, he said. Nations are dominated by one group that makes up a majority of the populations. Nations are inherently stable, while empires are always unstable, unquote. Well, we've already got 42 million legal immigrants in this country since 1965 that were totally born out of our country. And now we're about to have 100 million more people from foreign countries imported into America in the next 30 years. The sociological chaos they represent and present cannot be comprehended. So, literally, as I've said, we need to have, again, numbersusa.org. Every listener should be joining that organization, also carryingcapacitynetwork.org and capsweb.org. Those three organizations now contain something like 8 to 9 million Americans that think and speak just like we're speaking right now, feel the same way, and they're working to stop mass immigration. They're free to join. You get to, send in your letters, faxed, already pre-written. Because if we don't stop this, you and I are going to be sitting here another 5 years from now going, oh, my God, it's not only worse, it's gotten twice as bad as it was in 2017, and we're just fragmenting even faster. And within 5 years, please realize this, there will be somewhere around 7 to 10 million more immigrants in this country, both legal and illegal. That's what's coming. That's what's coming. And either we stop it, or at some point we will no longer be able to stop it.
We're going to run over a little bit this hour because I want to get your opinions on this, and I don't care if I go into the next segment or not. I want to get you to talk about Columbus Day. I absolutely am appalled. I'm ashamed that even in our state of Idaho, up at Moscow, the city council has changed this day from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. I find this appalling that these absolute twits, these NRBs, which stands for Not Real Brights, will change history, alter history, and only for their political correctness of today. What are your thoughts?
Well, again, as there are more of those on that side of the aisle that are attempting to erase our history as a country. And I'm sorry, Robert E. Lee is a part of our country. So is Thomas Jefferson, a part of our country.
That's right.
So is Dr. Martin Luther King is a part of our country. You can sit here and erase all of that aspect of our country. Susan B. Anthony is a part of our country. Abigail Adams is a part of our country. I think it was the Tubbs. The Lady Tubbs, who was part of the
Harriet Tubbs,
the Underground Railroad.
Yes.
You can't erase our history. It's what created what we are today and how we are today, and to pretend that it's not occurring or it's not happening or it didn't happen and it didn't occur is absolutely it's against all precedent. We have to take every aspect of American history and honor it for what it was at that point in time, and then deal with it in this part and time of our time on this planet. And that's the only thing I can think of. You can't erase it. you have to deal with it, and you have to appreciate every aspect of what created our civilization in this very successful democratic constitutional republic.
Absolutely well stated. Frosty, I'm out of time, but I want to wish you the very best with your trusty snow shovel at your right arm, ready to go out and brave the elements with 8 inches of snow. God bless you, my friend.
And thank you, Zeb, and Godspeed and God bless.
Thank you very much. Frosty Woldridge, Golden, Colorado, my friend. Got to pay some bills, and I want to remind you about everybody that's over at Ark Animal Hospital. You know, whether you got kitty cats or you got a puppy dog or you got a herd of roping steers or a bunch of horses or you got a cow herd, whatever, Dr. Bill and the crew over there at Ark Animal Hospital, it's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small, they love them all. Absolutely, Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Number to call, number to remember, 678-1177. I'll repeat it again, 678-1177. And they do, at Ark Animal Hospital, have warm hearts for cold noses. Absolutely. By the way, I say welcome back to Jeff Bronson at Lee's Furniture. How do you sing that theme song from Welcome Back, Cotter? Welcome back. Well, anyway, Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland and Burley. Jeff and the whole crew, holy moly, it's time to get your house ready for the holidays. Lee's Furniture having a special on window coverings, and they'll help regulate the temperatures, you know, from the outside, the sun and the cold. And they've got Beauty Rest Queen mattresses and box springs on sale for $3.99. Holy cow! And if you go into Lee's Furniture and talk to my old buddy Jeff Bronson and the crew, you mention my name, Zeb. I heard it on Zeb, so you get an additional 10% off on floor covering, carpet, vinyl, and luxury vinyl planks. Wow! Stop in today. Welcome back. Lee's Furniture, Floors and More. 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really good people. Oh, my goodness sakes. Yesterday, Vice President Michael Pence, as I stated earlier, walked out of the Indianapolis Colts San Francisco 49er game after witnessing, and I'm going to call it the way I see it, folks, 12 stupid, absolutely uneducated, disrespectful black players for the 49ers took a knee for our national anthem. I'm not going to give you all the kerfuffle and the fluff and everything else that everybody tries to run away from. We're going to be blunt. We're going to call the problem what it is. President Trump and Vice President Pence had said they would not, they said this a while ago, quite a while ago, they would not support or stay at events when the U.S. flag is disrespected. Good for them. Now, I can tell you this much. I did watch a couple of NFL games this weekend. I did turn off a couple of NFL games this weekend when I saw the fact that they were disrespecting our flag. Blank, it went to another station, or I turned the TV off altogether. I will not support the NFL. I will not support these teams, and I will definitely, when asked, state my opinion to anybody that's running a survey about how these black athletes disrespecting our flag and the crybaby attitude of, oh, we have a story to tell. Oh, we feel like we're oppressed. Oh, police brutality. Baloney. At the same time that national anthem is being played, look behind the bench. And who is standing there at attention to protect these black athletes? Our police. How dare the likes of Colin Kaepernick wear a pair of socks and start this slanderous movement of police brutality and our policemen being called pigs? Oh, he can be real proud that he started this mess. Am I sorry? Somebody asked me the other day if I'm sorry just purely on an athletic viewpoint that Colin Kaepernick is not playing in the NFL. And I looked at this person and I said, are you crazy? I'm glad that punk kid is looking for a job. I'm glad that he's not out in front of the audience at an NFL game. I'm glad that he is not making his great big multi-million-dollar salaries. I'm glad he's out of the National Football League, and I so wish the same for these that sit down or kneel during our national anthem. I wish they were gone too. Your thoughts on this? And do you know what Congressman Adam Schiff of California said in regards to Vice President Pence walking out of the stadium? He said that the Vice President did this only because of a publicity stunt. Now, at the time I heard this, I was taking off my Tony Lamas and I thought, whoa, don't throw one through the TV. A publicity stunt. Now it's a publicity stunt to walk away when these fools, and that's what they are, disrespect our country and our flag by kneeling during the national anthem. How dare the Democrats? How dare this man, Adam Schiff? I'm going to carry it one step further on my part. I'm going to try to get a hold of his office, and I know it probably is just a matter of a party of one. Me. But I'm going to let Adam Schiff know that I think he's not above much of the material that's out in my feedlot. If you get my drift. What started with Colin Kaepernick and the so-called depression has grown into a mass problem right now, like Frosty and I were just talking about a few moments later. There is an anti-white movement going on in this country. There is a very divisive movement going on in this country to absolutely create more segregation problems than ever happened after Selma, Alabama, or wherever. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. I do applaud the owners of the Miami Dolphins. I do applaud Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys. The owner simply said, you will stand, or else. Give me a call. Let me know what your thoughts are. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't weaken on this. This is a part of America that absolutely we have got to get a big dustpan and a broom, and we've got to clean this up. Your thoughts. While I'm waiting for your thoughts, give me a call. I'd like to remind you about Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, and employee benefits, all of this and more. They are the pros, and they understand all your needs and can help you with that. They're very thoughtful and caring, and all you have to do is just call and make an appointment. That's your job. You call the number, they'll do the rest, okay? You get a hold of them today, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You call them today. Caller, good morning. Thank you. You're on the air.
Yes, sir. I have a question for you. You take a generation of people who were taught that the flag in the United States is bad and they're not to respect it. When it comes time to maintain the United States in the world standings, will they stand up for it?
No. I mean, you've asked a question that I've thought about a lot, and we're seeing a complete divisiveness in this country to where little by little, like a huge jigsaw puzzle, this country is falling apart because we don't honor the rules and regulatory means. We don't honor the laws. We don't stand up as a nation of one. No is an emphatic answer to what you just asked.
Exactly. And that reminds me, the left is doing like they did in that old Abbott and Costello skit they had, was that inch by inch, step by step.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they're doing.
You know, this morning, here we are on the radio while at various parts of the country, statues of Christopher Columbus are being onslaught by the Antifa and other weirdos and warp minds, trying to tear them down, trying to spray paint them, etc. What kind of a great country is this where we have Antifa and Black Lives Matter that basically are pulling the strings of the politicians?
Well, they're a group of the politicians. They're a group of the left, both of them. They are the KKK in another generation with the same attitude. They are here to take down this country because how can you have one world government when one country is better and stronger than everybody else?
Well, okay, Doug, wait a minute. You know, I get a lot of heat because a lot of people call me an old redneck and everything else. But honestly, when you have a group like, let's talk about Antifa or Black Lives Matter, they take over college dormitories, they take over college libraries, they've gone into the president's office and they've demanded, by throwing all of his papers on the floor and everything, that they get their way. They've demanded that whites leave a fraternity house and that blacks take it over. They want better housing on campus. I am sick of the demands, and it's about time that, quite frankly, some of these knuckleheads ended up with bumps on their knuckleheads because they need to be legally taken off to jail for the trouble that they're causing.
Exactly. That's exactly it. The only way you're going to stop them is to physically stop them. You verbally talk to them. They don't want to listen to you. They do not. There's no way. They're like a, well, let's take, for instance, North Korea. You can't diplomatically talk to these people and come to a solution because the only solution they have is their idea, and if you don't believe in their idea, then you're against them. So thus, we take you out.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't understand where we're headed. Honestly, I want everybody that's either driving down the road right now or working in an office or working at a factory or whatever you're doing, just honestly think ahead a year or 2 or 5 from now. And where are we going with this anti-white? Where are we going with this anti-flag? Where are we going with this hate America? Where are we going with making like California a sanctuary state of lawlessness? Where are we going in this country?
They're wanting us to lower our standards to take us over so they can become a one world government. That's their end game, to become a part of a one world government where we are equal with Mexico, we're equal with Venezuela, we're equal with North Korea. No, we're not better, but people out there better wake up and think, where would the world be if America didn't exist?
I'm really concerned in whatever time God's given me for the rest of my life here on this great earth. I'm worried for my kids, I'm worried for my grandkids, I'm worried for you, your family, etc., that the American ideal, the American spirit, the American respect that my dad, my uncles, and my grandfathers fought for was all for naught because we've got idiots, nincompoops, and ne'er-do-wells that are trying to take it over.
We do. And these kids right now are product of the 60s kids that were out there protesting the Vietnam War. These kids are kids of them. And, you raise your kid to believe how you believe. You teach them what you think's right and wrong, and these anti-American people that were against America then have taught their kids the same thing.
I was asked over the weekend what I would do if I was the owner of one of the NFL teams and these players were taking a knee. And I thought about it, and I said it in a somewhat humorous vein. I would go to a livestock supply house and buy one of the long-stemmed hot shots that they use for loading cattle on the big trucks, and I would stand behind some of these players, and I guarantee you none of my players would be sitting, kneeling, or anything else except standing at respect on the sidelines.
Well, that would be quite a sight. But these people that are kneeling, when they were growing up, they never had the board of respect across their backsides to teach them respect.
Yeah, but wait a minute. They're always coming out and crying about their story. Oh, well, we had such an oppressed living, and I had to go through the slums. And listen, I said this the other day on the air, and I maintain this. Doug Martin has got a story. Zeb Bell has got a story. Everybody's got a story of trying to overcome problems, whether they're financial, whether they're health, whether they're civic problems, whatever, and try to be the best citizen they can be. Why in the world do I have to just relegate myself to listening to their story? I've had enough damn trouble in my life, and I've overcome it because of hard work. Why can't they?
Exactly. Yeah, and just a real brief deal on my story. I left Idaho and went to Colorado to the oil field to make the big bucks, and I was out there doing good. I was making good money. In the early 80s, I was making $30 an hour. And then the oil field shut down, and I kind of struggled a little bit, like a silly guy, didn't save much. Well, I went to work for $2.50 an hour. Now, if you want something that'll humble you, do something like that.
Everybody's got a story.
Pardon?
I say everybody's got a story, and I'm sick and tired of certain people or groups or ethnicities putting themselves on a pedestal that their story is more important than yours or mine or anybody else's. I don't buy into that movie ticket. I'm not going to buy the book.
No, and I didn't disrespect the flag when that happened to me. I stood up strong. I picked myself up, dusted myself off, and I figured out a way to survive, and I did.
Amen. Doug, I'm running so late right now, the dogs can't catch the rabbit. I got to run.
God bless.
All right, thank you. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It is past time for our weather forecast, brought to you by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. My goodness sakes, yes, you better get a hold of these people today, because the best of tax return preparation, financial statement preparation, payroll services, retirement planning, all of this and more, with 2 locations to serve you in Burley and Rupert. They are the best. How do I know? They help me. Absolutely. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Here now is Gina with the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch for this Columbus Day as we saddle up and ride again. Today's going to be a nice one. Sunny skies, high of 54. Going to be a little bit breezy, not too bad tonight. Mostly clear with a low of 31 tomorrow. Sunny skies, high of 62. Slightly breezy, winds out of the east-northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies, low of 35. For Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 60. Thursday, sunny and 54. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And Gina, thank you very much. Brought to everybody by Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. Absolutely. CPAs that have been serving the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. Please get a hold of them today, and they can and will help you. Phillips Oaks Goodwin Crane and Company. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, I heard, and you know, I respect Tony Dungy. I really respect Tony Dungy. He's written some great books. He was a great coach, former NFL player and everything. But the other day, it was about 3 weeks ago, during the height of this kneeling during the national anthem, and he said something on one of the NBC Sunday night broadcasts about, oh, well, we've got to listen and pay attention to all their stories. And right there, red flags went up. And I thought to myself, Tony, their story, your story, is absolutely not any more important than my listeners' stories. Or my story. Everybody has a story of overcoming adversity. And I am so sick and tired of letting these players use the football field as a means to attain more of their look at me, feel sorry for me attitude. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Zeb, I'd like to make a statement, and I'd like to back it up with a small scenario, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
On this football thing, I'm blaming the fans. They're paying those folks to do that, and I want to go to my scenario now. 2 years ago in our small town here in southern Idaho, we had a real animal control problem. We hired a new animal control officer. And after about 6 months, it drastically had cleaned up our animal control problem. And I said to him one day at coffee, I said, how did you manage that? He says, you got to get to the owner's pocketbook. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. And right there, whether it's the Green Bay Packers or the Minnesota Vikings or the Redskins or the Rams, these owners have got to realize that America and its structure of fandom, if you will, we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and our national anthem. We stand when the flag goes by in a parade. And for these pampered prima donnas that take a knee, they should be fired and drummed out.
What do you think would happen if 75,000 fans got up and walked out?
I wish it would happen. I honestly was thinking about this yesterday. You bring up an excellent point this morning. I think like tonight in Monday Night Football, if they had a bunch of these zombies take that knee and they don't know what they're kneeling for, some of them aren't smart enough. The only reason they got a college education or a college graduation diploma is because they played football. And I'm sick and tired of these people that really don't know what happened in America's history taking a knee. I wish 75,000 people would walk out.
Well, I'll go back to my original little deal there. Get in the owner's pocketbooks, and I think you'll see a heck of a difference.
I agree with you, but I'll tell you what, I am not a fan. I am not supporting, and I mean that for any and all sports, whether it pilfers over into Major League Baseball or the NBA. And I'll tell you something, sir. The National Basketball Association is going to carry this problem forward. I guarantee it, and it better be taken care of now before the great big season gets underway full force.
That's exactly right. Hey, nice talking to you. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. That is a big fear of mine. We have players like Stephen Curry, and we have players like LeBron James and others. I honestly am warning you, the paying public and the watching public and the possibly ticket-buying public, they're going to do the same thing to carry this problem over and exacerbate it further in the NBA. It's got to stop now. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you about our friends at Let's Ride while I'm waiting for my next phone call. And, boy, am I ever high on Let's Ride. They are the ones that got me started four-wheeling about, 9 years ago already. And Deanna and I just love it. And if you want to get outside and see the beauty of southern Idaho with the tree leaves and all the color and the brisk mountain air, you better get over there today. They've got all the four-wheelers. They've got all the side-by-sides. And for those that are waiting for the snow, they've got the brand-new snowmobiles. All of this in the best service department around. All the accessories. What are you waiting for? Get over to Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. And it is true. This is where the fun is sold. Let's Ride. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That man that called just a minute ago, he's 1,000% right. I would really, in the TV cameras, probably would, whether it's ABC or whether it's ESPN or whether it's Fox, it wouldn't make any difference. I'd like to see if these stupid, and they are, ungrateful, and they are, unknowledgeable, and they are, athletes, take a knee. Everybody got up and walked out. A couple of weeks ago, in a game, there was a thunderstorm alert, and they had to vacate the main Coliseum as quickly as possible because of a lightning scare. And it made me think like this gentleman that called just a moment ago. Those fans emptied out of those seats and were headed to the concourses and down into the main concourse in a matter of very few minutes. What would the owners sitting in their very costly boxes think that, whoa, what happened? There's not a storm. Whoa, what happened? There's not a weather warning. Whoa, what happened? Oh, and then the light goes on in their mind. Our fans are leaving because some of our stupid athletes disrespected America and disrespected our flag. I agree with that man. I think there would be an economical epiphany. And all of a sudden, somebody might wake up. Your thoughts, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I want to remind you real quick before I run out of time about Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. Oh, my goodness, they are the only locally owned and operated assisted living facility in the Mini-Cassia area. And they're able to provide more one-on-one care for your loved one. Now, I really urge you to make every effort to make Autumn Haven a visit on your schedule. Stop by and see if it wouldn't be just the right place for your loved one that needs a little bit more one-on-one care. Stop by, please. They make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place at 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Columbus Day. And that's what it is. If anybody walks up to you and says, Happy Indigenous Peoples Day, just say, oh, come on, get real. It's Columbus Day, and we're thankful that this man had the braveness and the fortitude to be an explorer and have the courage to face the unknown. It's Christopher Columbus Day. And don't be like the weak-kneed, whatever you want to call them, city council up in Moscow, Idaho, changing it to Indigenous Peoples Day. Please. Let's see what we got next hour. We've got, I'm really looking forward to this interview. I haven't had him on the air for a long time. The CEO of RCAF USA, Bill Bullard, and unfortunately, and I mean this, that the government is going to try to put through animal ID again, and Bill's going to tell us about that. And then at 10:32 this morning, we have Pastor James Ward from Chicago, and he's going to be talking about crime and strife and America being just literally shredded to pieces. Going to be interesting. Right now, I think old Sean's going to take us up to CBS News. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't you go away. And we say good morning, good morning, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch. We're going into hour number 3 right now. And our Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Center is our main sponsor, major sponsor, and they're having a great big fall tire sale right now. All 7 locations. And also we'd like to say thank you to one of our great advertisers, Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them, get on the route service, 734-6969. Before we get our guest on, I want to remind you on Thursdays we have a segment called Cassia County School Days, and we really talk about education and all the facets of educating our youth. And our sponsors are A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley with all the scrubs and the baby furniture and the cribs, and they've got the top-rated #1 car seat for the babies and the youth by Chico. Be sure and check it out at A Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley. And Ambulatory Surgery Center at 1344 Highland Avenue, Suite E in Burley for your outpatient surgeries such as life-saving colonoscopies, carpal tunnel, hand surgery, etc., and much more. Call them. Make an appointment. Find out exactly how they can serve you at 677-8888. Ambulatory Surgery Center and A Child's World, bringing you school days in Cassia County. Right now, an old friend is going to come on the program, and we're going to talk about what's going on with kind of a rebirth, if you will, of animal ID. And we have the CEO of RCAF USA, Bill Bullard, up in Billings, Montana. Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm great. Thank you.
Bill, I thought maybe after a couple of years, animal ID was put to rest, put to bed, and wouldn't rear its ugly head again. But now it's coming back. What's going on here?
Well, in 2013, the U.S. Department of Agriculture issued a scaled-down version of what it really wanted to do under what was called the National Animal Identification System. Under that system, the USDA wanted every animal, this would be pigs, horses, cattle, sheep, goats, to be individually identified with an electronic identification device, and all of their movements recorded in a national government database for purposes of achieving traceability from birth to plate. That was the government program. There was widespread opposition against it. The government backed off. In 2013, it issued these scaled-down rules. It said that all dairy cattle, all cattle over the age of 18 months of age, and all rodeo and exhibition stock were required to be officially identified with some form of identification device if they were to cross state lines or enter or exit tribal territories. And so since 2013, we've had this scaled-down version that has tracked breeding-aged animals, older animals, when they cross state lines. But now, in 2017, the USDA wants to expand that identification system that we now have and go back to its original effort to include cattle of all ages, to include the requirement that only electronic identification devices can be used. And that's what they're up to. They're trying to expand this program, and they've conducted a series of meetings across the country. They've had a comment period, and so that's what they're up to.
Let me ask you, Bill, I'm a little bit confused, and pardon my vagueness on this, but you said that they want to expand from 2013. Does that also mean the expansion and keeping of the AI, the animal identification of horses, et cetera, too?
Well, under the 2013 rule, horses were included. But what they said was that the current identification methods are sufficient to meet the new requirements. In other words, the Coggins test requirements, vaccination records, brand inspection documents, those documents are sufficient to identify horses. And those would include digital photographs and even drawings. And so under the rule, while horses were included and had to have official identification devices when crossing state lines, they already met those requirements under pre-existing rules. So now, as USDA is moving to Phase 2, remember originally they wanted to have chips put in all horses back in the mid-2000s. And so now that they're moving towards Phase 2, what they have said was they have not excluded horses, but they said that their interest is particular to cattle and bison. And so at this point, they appear to be focused on beef cattle and bison and dairy cattle, and not so much on horses. But, Zeb, we're moving into a new era with the administration, and it appears that they're going to forge ahead and try to impose a mandatory universal identification system again on our industry. So we need to be vigilant and push back at every opportunity.
Bill, for my audience and the benefit of those that might not be aware of what's happened over the last decade or so with this push on animal identification, the chips, etc., can you give us kind of a thumbnail sketch of what they're doing, why they want to do it, and really from your standpoint and also from mine, how ridiculous this is, please?
For sure. One of the main impetus behind this effort to have a universal government-run mandatory animal identification system is because we have relaxed our import restrictions and are currently allowing high-risk cattle to enter this country, cattle that are susceptible to bovine tuberculosis, brucellosis, mad cow disease. We have simply relaxed those restrictions. So now we're bringing in more cattle and commingling those animals in our herd, and so it heightens the need to be able to manage the diseases that we are now importing from foreign countries. And so the government, in its infinite wisdom, decided that the U.S. cattle industry needs to bear the cost of this increased need for animal identification. So that's number one impetus. Number two is that what we have found in the marketplace is there's really added value on cattle. There's a value for the animal itself, but then there's an additional value for information about that animal. And so we have a marketplace where consumers are beginning to desire information as to what farm the animal came from, or ranch, what it came from, what country it came from. And the way to provide that is with a traceability system. And so right now, meat packers who are catering to this additional desire for information in the marketplace are offering premiums to independent cattle producers across the country in order for those cattle producers to agree to voluntarily identify their animals in a particular way. And we have producers that are jumping on the bandwagon to do just that. They're being rewarded in the marketplace. They're receiving premiums, and the consumer is being satisfied, and it's been good for everyone involved. Now, though, the meat packers have figured out if they could convince the government to impose this upon the entire industry, they'll get this value-added information for free and will no longer have to pay cattle producers a premium. And that's why the government is being influenced so heavily right now by the multinational meat packers, by the ear tag companies, because there are billions of dollars to be made if the government will impose this onerous requirement upon our industry.
I got to admit to you, I'm a little confused, and you're a good enough friend that you can lead me through the jungle here and show me the light. These same people now that are advocating animal IDs so that they can regulate animal diseases coming in from other countries, etc., these are the same people that were against country of origin labeling. Isn't it kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't?
That's exactly right. And it's because they realize that if consumers could choose to purchase cattle that were produced exclusively in the United States, beef from those cattle, that they would receive a premium for domestic cattle, and that premium would have to go to the domestic cattle producer, meaning no longer could the meat packers continue to source their increased volumes of imported product and bring it into the grocery store and sell it to unsuspecting consumers as if it were a domestic product. And so what the meat packers are trying to do is force the information, but they want to use that information to their benefit. They do not want consumers to be able to distinguish between beef produced in Nicaragua, Honduras, Argentina, Brazil, the United States, or Mexico, or Canada. They want consumers to instead seek out a product, for example, Silverlight meat produced with no hormones, no antibiotics, and produced on a natural farm. In other words, not disclosing the origins, but providing enough information that could be verified through a traceability system, but not give an advantage, a home court advantage, to U.S. cattle producers. So it's all about how to use the information once they obtain it. It is clearly hypocritical for them to say that consumers want this information. That's why we need animal identification, while at the same time, as you pointed out, they have been vehemently against country of origin labeling because they don't want consumers to know that they're importing product and undercutting the U.S. cattle producer in the process.
You know, and there's something else here I'd like you to elaborate on, too, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. But we the producers pay, and we have to do the implementation of the animal ID, etc., to basically prove that we're A-OK, whereas Bolivia, whatever country, ships into this country, they don't have to pay a doggone thing, and they don't have these extra expenses. This is ridiculous.
Well, and here's a perfect example. In January of this year, the government imposed on the U.S. cattle industry a veterinary seed directive requiring cattle producers to get a veterinary certificate regarding any use of antibiotics. So that's an additional cost to U.S. cattle producers, but that requirement is not imposed on the cattle coming into the United States by the hundreds of thousands from Canada or Mexico, nor any other country. In other words, The United States is imposing a cost only on domestic producers, not imposing that cost on all of the imported product, and then not telling the consumer that there's a huge disparity in the safety and in the production methodologies used on these foreign animals.
Let me ask you this. What about the producers? What about our CAF USA, all the members, et cetera? Surely, have they been advised long before about these changes and have had time to maybe issue a rebuttal or organize against this? What's the time frame here?
Well, the USDA opened up a comment period, and RCAF joined with about 39 other organizations and filed comments. And then when the USDA came out and said that as a result of the comments and its meetings, it said they had an industry consensus to move forward with including feeder cattle under a mandatory identification system and to move forward with the use of electronic identification devices as the exclusive device to be designated as official. They said they had this consensus as a result of the meetings. We argued, in fact, we filed a formal complaint under the Data Quality Act of 2001, and we alleged that USDA simply falsified the outcomes of those public meetings and the public comments, that in no way did the agency obtain a consensus from the industry to move forward on these younger animals, and particularly to move forward on only allowing an electronic identification ear tag to be designated as an official ear tag. So that complaint is pending with the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We'll see where that goes. But the government is moving rather quickly on this, and it's surprising. It's surprising to us that the current Trump administration, who says he wants less regulation, is now out beating the bushes trying to increase the regulatory burden on the U.S. cattle industry. We think something is wrong here, and perhaps it's a situation where the president simply doesn't know what his agencies are doing, and so we're trying to make the most of this information as we can to bring it to the forefront to get the administration to back off.
Is it too late to try to stop this bill, or would you say radio programs like mine and my audience, if they become more aware of what's going on, we still have time to stop this? Because I, for one, am very concerned about a microchipped society. You know as well as I do that if it goes to animals, all animals, soon it'll go to people to go buy their groceries. I'm very concerned about Big Brother knowing everything about our operations and everything about us. Is it too late to stop this?
And the answer is a resounding no. In fact, there has been no new rulemaking processes. The agency has been kind of trying to work behind the scenes on this. We've called them out on it. And so this is the opportune time to begin calling members of Congress, to be calling the new Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, and telling him to back off his agency's efforts to impose a mandatory identification system on the animal agriculture, because that's the first step. This is the front lines right now, and the timing is perfect for an uprising of citizens to tell Congress, no way, don't go there. We do not need it, and the marketplace is the appropriate method of promoting the traceability in the marketplace itself.
Absolutely.
It's already working. Let's allow it to continue to work without the government interfering with it.
And quite frankly, again, I'll use my verbiage and correct me in the proper response, but I see this as nothing more than not only a control issue, but also a money-making issue for the USDA. Am I wrong?
Absolutely right. This is all about control of information, all about control of an industry, all about helping the multinational meat packers that the USDA has been catering to for many years, all about helping them to capture the live cattle supply chain away from the free enterprise system where it is now controlled by independent cattle producers scattered all across the United States. The cattle industry is the last frontier for the meat packers. They view the ability to impose this mandatory identification requirement as a means of further capturing control over the entire supply chain. And we think that this is very, very dangerous.
You know, Bill, I'm looking at this thing, whether it's a small producer or whether it's a large producer. I mean, the cost factor, the bookkeeping factors, the oops factor, if you make a mistake, Big Brother coming down on you like a cat to a plate of milk. I mean, man, there's a lot of hidden things here that could be very dangerous for the producer.
Well, that's right, and that's we think this is an overreach on the part of government to try to get involved in the marketing side of this. And what's really disconcerting is the fact that U.S. cattle producers that are paying into this mandatory checkoff program, which is a government-funded program supposed to be promoting beef, is also now in the process of promoting these kinds of things. And that's because a lobbying organization that receives the money is now beginning to work with the government to impose this new type of a mandatory system on the industry. This is really a problem. And what is most important here is producers and consumers alike need to express their concerns to their government officials. Otherwise, nothing will happen. But if enough of us do express our concerns, we can change things. And we demonstrated that with this very issue. In 2013, the government had to scale back its proposal because of the widespread opposition from citizens and from producers and from radio shows like yours, that allowed everyone to understand what was going on. So we simply need to repeat that and strengthen it.
Bill, final thought here. RCAF USA, I've been very proud to have you and the issues on my program. What about the NCBA? What stance are they taking on this? Or are they going to kind of just coddle up in bed with the big boys and say, let's do it?
Well, they've supported it since the beginning. In fact, they were one of the initial organizations back in 2004 to stand up and say, Canada has a mandatory identification system. We want one too. And so they are the organization receiving mandatory checkoff dollars and using that to lobby against the interests of independent producers. It's very troubling. But when an organization like the NCBA receives $40 million a year of producer taxes, they have a lot of clout in Washington, and they're able to push issues like this.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a quick question. I'm down to the last 3 minutes. Caller, go ahead, please.
Zeb, could you ask Bill to address this issue of control? It looks to me like, and this is my fear, small producers, when we've got whatever we're doing, hog or lamb or beef, turkey, whatever, if this goes through, will the United Nations get involved and say, look, you can only have a percentage of this world market. So United States, your numbers that are on these animals, they're monitored, and you cannot market these animals. We need to bring the third world countries up, too, and let them have production in competition to the United States.
Excellent. Excellent question. Bill, please respond to the caller's question.
Well, and we're seeing that happening now. That's why we're relaxing our import requirements for countries like Brazil and Argentina and allowing these higher-risk products and animals into this country. It's because they've decided they want to help these developing countries lift themselves up by the bootstraps to expand their global market share. And where best to do that but in the largest beef-consuming market in the world, right here in the United States. And the gentleman is right. This is all about control. And what can you do if you know where every animal in the United States is at any given time, where it is moved to and from? With that information, you will figure out quickly how to exploit it and make dollars, but not for the producers that are involved with the cost of having to do this. This is a part of corporate control over our live cattle system, and we're already seeing this in other industries. So the concerns he raises are very legitimate.
I tell you what, Bill, I am honored and proud to have you on my program. Bill Bullard, CEO of RCAF USA up in Billings, Montana. I know that I'm going to follow this and have you back soon on more issues and more questions regarding this policy. Bill, God bless, man. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
You're very welcome, Zeb. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. You know, I fought it the last time. As a matter of fact, I went right to a meeting with Governor Otter and told him I think this is wrong. I was chastised by many, but then all of a sudden, after it kind of dissipated, everybody came to me and said, I'm glad you stood up for it. Well, we all need to fight against this. I do not want to microchip my animals. I do not want to give an advantage to anyone on foreign soil with their animals coming here. I am against this animal ID, and we all need to fight this. Right now, I've got to pay some bills quickly, and I want to remind everybody about Lennox Home Comfort Systems. Oh, my goodness sakes, yes, Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox with their home comfort systems, and you might get up to a $1,600 rebate on a new Lennox Home Comfort System. All you have to do is get a hold of Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call is 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. We're going to have in the next hour Pastor James Ward, I believe, from back in the Chicago area on the program in the next segment. But right now we're going to go back over to our home studio. Sean, take it away.
And now back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
And I hope you're having a great day today, everybody. A beautiful, beautiful weather day here in southern Idaho. And God bless each and every one of you and enjoy. Right now, I want to remind you before we get our guest on the program, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center for those that might need a little bit more one-on-one care. Maybe your loved ones, they're living at home alone and it's just not working out for them. Please check it out at Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center, 924 Christian Way in Rupert. The number to call, 436-3200. They make every effort to make Autumn Haven the best place, and they invite you and your family to stop by and take a tour and find out exactly everything about their facility for your loved ones. They're small compared to some, but with a bigger heart than most. Call them today at 436-3200, Autumn Haven Assisted Living Center in Rupert. You know, it's very timely that we have this gentleman on our program because there is so much going on. We're getting so fragmented in this country. And I have said on this program for a long time, the only glue that's going to hold this jigsaw puzzle together is God. And this man, I think, is going to solidify my feelings. He is the faith leader and gun violence analyst, Pastor James Ward, the founder of the Inside Church in North Chicago. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Hi, Zeb. I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really honored to be with you for our time today.
Well, I'll tell you what, I've got so many questions, we don't have that much time, but you are also the author of Zero Victim, Liberate Yourself from the Mentality of Defeat. That opens up a lot of questions right there. But first of all, Pastor Ward, you are from Chicago. And by the way, I'm a Cubs fan, so I think you and I are going to get along just fine. But you're from Chicago, and we're seeing the worst of the worst happen in your city with gun violence and crime and being a sanctuary city and Rahm Emanuel. How in the world do you survive in such an environment back there?
You know, to be very honest with you, Zeb, faith is really all we have. And I don't mean that it's just, some statement that we throw around, but I sincerely mean the same God that has been synonymous with the very foundation of this nation, that has guided our way of life, our thinking, our value systems. We have to stand on that faith and return to that faith today to get through these challenges and the obstacles that we're dealing with. You know, we tend to acknowledge the spiritual reality of evil, but we quickly dismiss the spiritual reality of God, and He's the only one capable of stopping evil. And you cannot fight what sometimes are spiritual and moral battles, which I talk about quite a bit in our publications. You cannot fight those things with natural weapons. But there are greater forces that are at work in our society that we have to acknowledge. We're dealing with diabolical expressions of evil. And whether people believe in God or don't believe in God, it has nothing to do with the reality of its existence or the reality of evil. And I believe we have to return back to the convictions that the founding fathers intended when they made the statement, one nation under God. You cannot separate being under God from the existence and the vitality of this great nation in which we live. We have to return to those foundational principles.
You know, I've said for a long time on this program with other guests, and I'm going to say it to you, that I long for the days. I'm an old man. I long for the days of the cover of the Saturday Evening Post of families sitting down around a Thanksgiving dinner or families walking to church on Sunday morning. Have we lost that forever in this country?
I think we've lost it, but it's not too late. You know, I think that we're still in a position that our nation can indeed experience the mercy and the goodness and the blessing of God, which is a common denominator for all of us. We all want to see our nation do well. And we do have to restore to the foundations of family and faith and friends, which is causes America to be the nation that it really is. I'm afraid that in some situations we've even become desensitized to some of the immorality that we experience on a daily basis. And returning to the place of family and faith, family and churches. I grew up, and, Christianity was a way of life. And even for those who weren't Christians, they respected the Christian faith. They respected the Bible. And we've gotten to a place now that we've disregarded those things. Sadly, our government, in some ways, have really led the way. I think there's been a misunderstanding and a complete misinterpretation of the separation of church and state. And just a few years ago, sadly, it broke my heart. Our president made a statement that America is no longer a Christian nation. That really bothered me because even as a pastor, every society is built upon some moral foundation, some spiritual foundation, whether it's Islam or Sharia law or humanism. But here in America, it's been Christianity. It's been faith in the God of the Bible. You remove God from society. You literally pull the rug from underneath our society. And there's nothing left but implosion. But I really believe it's not too late, and we have to continue to get the word out there and call our nation back to faith. And it doesn't mean that every person has to become a Christian. It doesn't mean that we're forcing people to become Christians. That's what the separation of church and state is about. It's about the government not being able to make encroachments to force people to worship. But it certainly does not mean that we cannot be a Christian nation, because our nation has to be built upon spiritual and moral law for the overall good of our society.
You know, Pastor Ward, one of the big concerns I have is our culture in general. I mean, when you look at the work ethic that seems to be diminishing, and it's a gimme, I want mentality of the younger generation, and then also a lot of us older folks, it's gimme instead of working for it. It's a loss of family values. It's a loss of really caring for one another. Why and when did all this change in America?
You know, I really think, Zeb, a lot of it has to do with what I call victim mentality. You mentioned the book earlier, and I do want to encourage your listeners to go to zerovictim.com. They can order a copy of the book. The book is done tremendously well. And this idea of zero victim, the subtitle is Liberate Yourself from the Mentality of Defeat. I believe that our nation morally has slipped into a position of victim mentality, and a position where people are so highly offended, and along with that comes entitlement mentality, that people have become inherently selfish. And you're right, going back to family values, again, I grew up in a time where our parents taught us morality. They taught us the golden rule, how to love and do unto others as we would have them do unto ourselves. They taught us the value of respect and how to care for other people. I think even in the breakdown of the family in our current generation, that when you see single mother homes, when you see dads are departing from the family and the family is being under attack in terms of the definition of what traditional marriage, biblical marriage really is, there are consequences that come along with the breakdown of morality and the foundation of a family setting, that now you have kids that are growing up who have been parented by kids themselves, that you're having young people now having children. And we're seeing the erosion of those family and moral and spiritual values that have made America the great nation that it is today. And our nation is in crisis at this point because of that.
Let me throw this at you, Pastor Ward, and I'm going to be really honest and poignant about my feelings. I agree with Donald Trump when he said a couple of weeks ago, maybe I didn't agree with all the verbiage, but I agree with the statement that he would fire the NFL players that are showing disrespect and taking a knee during our national anthem. I totally agree with that. And then later on, the commentators at various networks said, oh, well, we've got to feel compassion for all these athletes' stories and how they were brought up. And I said, no, I don't feel compassion. We all have stories. We have all had to jump over hurdles in our life to try to succeed. I've had plenty in my life, and I'm not taking a knee during the national anthem. What are your thoughts about this problem we have that's an ever-growing cancer in our society?
Yes, it is. The first chapter of the book, Zero Victim, I write that the world is a hostile place and perfectly designed to make victims out of every one of us, whether you're black, white, male, female, Jewish, Hispanic, Asian American. Every single person has to deal with the pitfalls of victimizations in this life, and we all have a story to tell, and it has nothing to do with the color of our skin or our gender. Now, the whole idea of protest at the football games, I personally don't agree with it. I think it's disrespectful to our nation, and I'm saddened to see it. And I'll tell you why. Just a simple mathematical, logical understanding. Our national anthem, Zev, is about 90 seconds long. We have 24 hours in a day. We have 1,440 minutes in a day. That means we have 86,400 seconds in a day. If we honor our country and our soldiers for 90 seconds out of 86,400 seconds, that leaves us 86,310 seconds to express our grievances, to protest. There's plenty of time in the day and other platforms for us to exercise our constitutional right, to speak out, freedom of speech. We have plenty of other time, literally 86,310 seconds during the day to express our grievances. And I believe that 90 seconds that we have to honor our nation, to honor the soldiers who've given their life for our nation. My own mother is a veteran of the United States Army. I believe it would be dishonorable to her and every other person, the very fabric of this nation, for us to lose those 90 seconds to collectively honor our nation. There's plenty of time for us to express our grievances, and that is not the time to do it.
Amen. Pastor Ward, I want to talk to you about evil in this country. And when you say this is evil, or there's an expression of evil, or the evilness of the shooter in Las Vegas, evil seemes to be permeating in our society more so than ever before. How can we, you and I and others, how can we combat evil and maybe someday restore the goodness that was in this country years ago?
Sure. One of the things that we fail to realize, Zeb, is that the presence of God consciousness, has been the source of moral law and restraint within human lives. The principles of righteousness, we get those from God himself. And what I've been communicating during this time is that when we talk about civil law, we take a one-dimensional approach to civil law in America, to overall law, and that one-dimensional approach is civil law. Civil law having to do with the government administering justice and oversight of the lives of people. But more important than civil law, there is spiritual law and moral law. Spiritual law and moral law are the foundation of civil law. In other words, civil law is intended to uphold spiritual and moral law, the principles of righteousness and unrighteousness. And there is a direct correlation that the more our nation is distanced from God and the reality of God's consciousness, the more immorality proportionately rises in our nation. Spiritual law and moral law, how God governs our society, and moral law, how people govern themselves, is even more important than civil law. And we only take a one-dimensional perspective about it. And I use a very simple analogy to explain this. If you give a righteous, moral man the launch codes to our nuclear arsenal, our nation will remain at peace and will have nothing to worry about because that man is righteous and moral. But if you give an immoral man who has wickedness and evil in his heart, the opportunity to kill, he will kill you with his bare hands. He'll kill you with a butter knife or a spoon or a paper clip or anything else, because the heart is the problem. And we've got to get our nation back to the place that we understand the value of spirituality and morality in the right context, and how that makes us causes us to live in a decent, safe society. I've become best friends with the police chief here in the town that I live and pastor in, and I tell the police chief all the time, if I can do my job well as a pastor to uphold spiritual and moral law, it'll make your job so much easier. Your policeman will have plenty of days off if I can do my job by helping people to become better in terms of their own spiritual and moral life. We've got to return to those foundations here in the United States of America.
Absolutely. Pastor Ward, let me also ask you this. I've been highly critical, and again, you're more than welcome to criticize me for my statement. But I've been very critical of pastors and church leaders themselves over the last 10 years because I think sometimes that pastors hide behind the pulpit and really don't address the issues that are going on in their community, their country, etc. And they need to really help push the congregate members to get out and do the right thing. Am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're absolutely right. You know, we see that, Zeb, in the life of Jesus himself, that Jesus not only gave us righteousness in terms of the idea of righteousness, internal righteousness, but righteousness is something that also has to be acted out and implemented in society. In other words, righteous intent becomes unrighteous if you don't act upon that righteous. If I'm standing by as a righteous person, and if I see an old lady being mugged by a robber, or if I see a young lady being victimized or sexually abused, if I don't take action and step up to the plate to do something about it, my righteous intent is irrelevant, and at that moment I fail to act, I become an unrighteous individual. And so I agree with you that we have a huge responsibility as pastors and spiritual leaders to not only teach the principles of righteousness, but to also stand to see that righteousness and justice are acted out in the society in which we live. The Bible says that faith without works is dead. And so if we simply preach faith and if we don't exercise the corresponding works to support what it is that we believe based upon God's word, in that moment, I think we have failed to be true in our responsibility to the people that we lead and we minister to. And so I agree with you completely. It's a high standard that we've been called to carry, and we don't see more of that. Many times I think that the government ends up taking a bad rap and taking a hit for things that the church did not do. In other words, the condition of our nation, I often say, is the church's spiritual report card. And there are some places that I believe that God intends for the church to step into those spaces to bring solutions to some of the challenges that the government is not designed or intended to do. I believe it's the church's responsibility.
Absolutely. One final thought. When the reader closes the cover of the book, Zero Victim, Liberate Yourself from the Mentality of Defeat, what do you want that reader to take away from reading your book?
The reader will have a shift of mindset. I often say, Zeb, that in life, the mind is the battlefield. In other words, we're not fighting circumstances. We're not fighting people. We're not fighting racism and all these things. I think it begins in the mind, that if there can be a shift of mindset, then that becomes the platform from which we can see and analyze and approach situations the right way. I talk about in the book, it's important for us to act and not react, to act intelligently, to act with mental intelligence and not react to emotionally. And we see a lot of emotional reaction happening in our nation, which is victim mentality. I talk about the fact that victim mentality works like a set of lenses, and for people who have victim mentality, everything they see in life is filtered through that mindset of victimization. And people can't do right because they're always seeing themselves as being a victim. And we have to change that to a zero victim mindset. I've seen marriages restored. I've seen employees have better experience at work because of a change to zero victim mentality. I've seen race issues that have been settled and healing has taken place in terms of reconciliation because of change of moving from victim mentality to zero victim mentality. I highly encourage your readers to go to zerovictim.com to order the book and to get a hold of it. I believe it's something that will revolutionize their life And to also visit our page at survivorsunday.com as we're praying for those who are victims of gun violence, even in the wake of the tragedy in Las Vegas last week.
You are one of my favorite people on this program, and this is the first time, and I certainly hope you'll come back in the future. Pastor James Ward, founder of the Inside Church and the author of Zero Victim, Liberate Yourself from the Mentality of Defeat. Pastor Ward, you're a bright spot in the tunnel of darkness. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, my friend. Look forward to talking with you more in the future.
God bless. Thank you very much.
God bless.
Wow, I like that man, and we're going to have him back in the future because he lays it out the way it should be. And I'm going to go get a copy of that book, Zero Victim, Liberate Yourself from the Mentality of Defeat, Pastor James E. Ward, and he is the founder of the Inside Church in North Chicago, and believe me, he's right in the middle of a mess back there in Chicago, and we're going to have him back on in the future. I'm going to save that name and number. Believe me, he will return. Right now, I'll bet you old Sean over at the station saying, hey, we got a weather forecast. Yes, we do, and we're going to get right to it. Brought to you by Scarro's Meats at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website and follow along and see all the delicious meats in their retail meat department, scarrowsmeats.com. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, they really have a great meat department for you. Brats and pastrami's, all the way to prime ribs, you name it, it's all delicious. Scarrow's Meats in Jerome. And right now, here's the weather.
Here's your weather forecast for Zebeth Ranch for this Columbus Day as we saddle up and ride again. Today's going to be a nice one. Sunny skies, high of 54. Going to be a little bit breezy, not too bad tonight. Mostly clear with a low of 31 tomorrow. Sunny skies, high of 62. Slightly breezy, winds out of the east-northeast, right around 10 miles an hour. Tomorrow night, mostly clear skies, low of 35. For Wednesday, mostly sunny skies, high of 60. Thursday, sunny and 54. That is your weather for Zebeth Ranch.
And thank you very much, Gina. Excellent job for our weather. And brought to you by Scarrow's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. And remember, they are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrow's Meats. Wow, we've had some great people on the air this morning, and I sincerely... You know what? I'm going to stop right here. And I want to issue a thank you. And when I say this, it's very heartfelt. It's not easy to step into a program like this and know all the ins and the outs and who to call, the timing, and when to play this and when not to play that. And there's a young man over at the station right now that has done an outstanding job filling in for Wheels today, and that's Sean Milligan. And I just want to say thank you, Sean. I don't know if you want to turn the mic on and say anything, but God bless you for filling in and doing a absolutely A++ job. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's all you're going to say?
Yeah, I'm not really that talkative right now. I did enjoy that last guest a lot, though.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sean, thank you. My wife and I both were very complimentary to you, and thanks for all that you did this morning to keep it running very, very smooth. I do thank you for that. Okay, he's gone. Hey, listen, we also want to remind you while we have the time, and I got to move my papers here, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers are major sponsor on this program, and we could not do it without their help, because doing the right thing matters, and that's what they specialize in. Absolutely 7 great locations with a great big fall tire sale right now on your passenger car tires and your pickup and your SUV tires, like maybe the Wild Country Trail 4SX, all-terrain tread, improved tire life for your pickups and SUVs on sale. And don't forget, too, the best in brake service with highly trained technicians and front-end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. Batteries, we don't give enough credit to the batteries every time they turn the car over, or if they don't, then we cuss them. You stop in and check out the best in batteries at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. 7 locations, Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What have we got cooking for tomorrow? Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to have my good friend Jack Euler on the air, and we're going to talk about the sage grouse issue, and then Deanne's working on getting Herb London, security expert, back on our program at 9:30. And then I understand that Gary Shoresman, my dear friend Gary Shoresman, is going to take over the reins for Dr. History tomorrow, and he's going to be over at the main studios, and we're going to talk to him on the Dr. History segment and much more. So what I'd like to do tomorrow morning in the first hour is conduct a little survey with you folks. I recently read in the USA Today magazine, a newspaper, they had a great big headline that said, America is really dissatisfied with Donald Trump. And I don't think it's true. I don't think it's true at all, and I want you to call in tomorrow morning, and I'll tell you when, and tell me your thoughts about whether you're unhappy with him or not. I'm not. I think the guy's doing a great job. I think that his policies are great. I think that what he wants to do for energy is great. I think that he's done very, very big things for this country to get it back to being America great again. So we'll hear what you have to say tomorrow. We're going to get out of here right now. I got a lot of things to do outside for the rest of the afternoon. Again, thanks, Sean, for everything you did to help us at the main studios. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 8:06. Ride the horse for 3 hours right here on Zeb at the Ranch. And remember, the way things were are the way things ought to be. See you tomorrow morning.